Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are just a couple of days away from the Mandalorian Season 3 debut on Disney+. That's really going to kickstart Jon and Dave's new journey for the Star Wars franchise, beginning with this show and leading into Star Wars Ahsoka, to really kind of start up that momentum again for the future of the Star Wars franchise. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, given that yes, Mando Season 3 is going to up the stakes, Jon Favreau confirmed just yesterday that he really does hope that it's going to have as much of a big of an impact that it did when it came to the whole Luke Skywalker appearance scene in Mando Season 2, suggesting that yes, we are going to be getting something that large in Mando 3, and I believe it has a lot to do with the Order 66 flashbacks, and a lot of which how it kind of spills into Mando Season 4, which by the way is going to be very Luke Skywalker heavy. Now, with that being said, we know that everything related to Jon, George, and Dave, the wonderful trio working on this season and the next, is that it's really going to have a lot of connections and possibilities moving ahead. Now, on to exactly what has been going on with Kathleen Kennedy, who is the complete opposite. She's not passionate. She's not, for the fans. She does not support the fandom. She seems to have some kind of problem with the overall structure of the community, right? So that brings us to exactly what Kathleen Kennedy recently did that got her into more trouble under Disney's wing, based on what she did with the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and various things over at Lucasfilm and more. So let's tap right into all of this, and it's really not surprising at the end of the day, but it just continues to get worse and worse for Kathleen. Now, with Disney and Lucasfilm actually beginning to make big announcements at this year's Celebration event, it's noted that as of now, both Favreau and Filoni are making big changes at Lucasfilm to change its future. However, recently Kathleen Kennedy got into more trouble by Disney after she initiated something crucial once again to some projects that she has been working on. One was for Skeleton Crew, and how Kennedy decided to go over budget with the reshoots of the series that is costing Disney almost double the amount that they aimed for with the reshoots of scenes for the show that involved characters like the teacher, portrayed by Jude Law, and the children. These reshoots were purposely done over budget by Kennedy and landed her into more trouble with the higher-ups at Disney, and that they are also looking to keep some of those scenes out of the series now, as the footage provided to them was reportedly not impressive in the least. So let me just, kind of elaborate here, is that the reshoots that were initiated, basically Kathleen Kennedy went over budget without their authorization. She poured more money into the stuff than what she was really told to do with it. And that just goes to show how irresponsible she is, how she really does not follow orders, she does not have, a good sense of, what she has to do. And when you look at a show like Skeleton Crew, which by the way is a very small scale series, it's not large scale in the slightest. In fact, it's said to be even more small scale than any other Star Wars project out there, that you have ever seen. So it's going to have a real indie feel to it. And at the end of the day, if you're going over budget like this on a show that's meant to feel like an indie project, it really just makes you wonder, why would you be doing that, right? So that's exactly why she got landed into more trouble with Skeleton Crew, and how they're pulling a lot of those reshot scenes and trying to salvage them for another project, alright? Now, this is where things begin to get a little bit worse, because this actually involves the Acolyte series. Now, as you all know, the Acolyte has problems of its own, alright? Skeleton Crew has a real toxic environment when it comes to the cast and the crew, and there's a lot of reshoots there, but with the Acolyte, it's all about constant back and forth delays. They're not really quite sure where the story is going. The whole show as of right now is out of place. There's so many scenes that, were incomplete, deleted, erased, whatever have you, and they're trying to reshoot things, but they really can't find a way to do that. So that brings us to the Acolyte. Now, the next thing that Kathleen Kennedy did that really upset the Disney higher-ups has a lot to do with this specific show that is basically causing Disney to fall into a bottomless pit of issues. Alright, I mean, let's just face it. So, separate from all of this, she also did something bad with the Acolyte series by cutting out a big cameo scene from the show that was set to be a character connected to the prequels. Now, it's unclear who the cameo was and whether or not if it was a major or minor character, but it was described to be a familiar face in the show that was going to be substantial to the audience, that was going to take fans by surprise. Kennedy has since deleted the said cameo that was going to appear at the end, and this was something that George Lucas agreed on with Kathleen Kennedy to put into the series that she ended up deleting in the process. Disney higher-ups specifically told Kennedy that they are backing up on marketing even more now with the Acolyte. Now, if you guys want my 2 cents on this, there is no doubt in my mind that the cameo that Kathleen Kennedy deleted was indeed Yoda, because we know that there was concept art of Yoda for the Acolyte series that was created to show you his life during the High Republic era, and that would make sense because he's a prequel trilogy character. It would have taken the fans by surprise, giving us a different variant of Yoda, giving us him at a younger age and a different, set of attire. It would have been very interesting, to say the least. And Kathleen Kennedy, once again, erasing a cameo that was said to be very heavy on the prequels that was going to take fans by surprise. I think it just comes down to one thing, is that Kathleen Kennedy does not want to give in to any kind of fan excitement, and she wants to 100% detach from anything related to George Lucas. Anything that's familiar with his work on Star Wars, even the aesthetics of the franchise, she wants to do away with a lot of that, as much as she can, at least, right? So that brings us to the next big thing here, is that the Acolyte already is running into delays again. Now, it makes you wonder, how far are they pushing the show now? Is it going to be delayed until, let's say, for example, summer of 2024 instead of spring? It's a possibility. I mean, just look at where we are now. It's already March, and the filming is out of whack. There's a lot of problems with the show, and before you know it, they're not going to really finish post-production at this point until maybe the end of this year. I mean, literally, that's how long it's going to take if they keep this up. And if that would be the case, they're probably not going to get this thing out, until the summer of next year properly, because you got to market the thing first. You also have other shows coming out before it, so it's going to be a very interesting series of events until this show finally gets released. I know some fans think it might get canceled, but I don't believe so. Only because Disney put so much money into this thing that I don't see them backing out of it, and that they would rather release it anyway. So, with, of course, that being all put out there, Kathleen Kennedy once again falling into 2 other big problematic scenarios that's not going to get resolved, that only makes, the Disney higher-ups' jobs harder to work with Kathleen Kennedy. This is why they want her out, because it's only making their jobs, very difficult day to day. So anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you guys have to say about all of this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.